When we talk about global domination in music, only a few names truly shake the world. And today on Buzz and Tea, we're diving deep into a story that still feels unreal, the journey of seven boys from a small company in South Korea who rewrote history and became global kings. Yes, we're talking about BTS. But before we begin, I want you to pause for a second and imagine this. It's 2013. A small entertainment company with limited funds debuts a hip hop inspired idol group. No major TV push, no massive pre debut hype, no guarantee of success. Would you have bet on them becoming the biggest group in the world? Be honest, because back then, almost nobody did. The story starts with a man who once faced bankruptcy, Bang Si-hyuk, founder of Big Hit Entertainment. Before BTS, Big Hit was barely surviving. The company didn't have the industry power of giants like SM, YG, or JYP. They didn't have unlimited resources. What they had was belief and risk. Bang Si-hyuk didn't want just another polished idol group. He wanted something different. He wanted authenticity. He wanted voices that spoke to youth pain, pressure, dreams, and anger. And so he began gathering trainees, not just for visuals, but for raw talent and individuality. First came a young underground rapper known as RM, born Kim Namjoon. Then Min Yoonji, who would become Suga. Then Jung Ho Shok, later known as J-Hope. Add to that Kim Seokjin, Park Jimin, Kim Taehyung, and John Jungkook. Seven very different personalities. Seven unknown boys. Seven uncertain futures. And zero guarantee that the world would ever know their names. Their debut song No More Dream dropped in 2013. It wasn't the typical cute or romantic idol concept. It was bold. It questioned society. It challenged adults. It spoke directly to students drowning in expectations. But here's the harsh truth. The industry barely noticed. They performed in small venues. They handed out flyers for their own shows. They squeezed into tiny dorm rooms. They shared one bathroom. Sometimes they worried if their company would survive long enough to keep them together. Imagine chasing your dream while fearing your company might shut down any day. That was their reality. While other groups from larger agencies dominated TV broadcasts, BTS built something quietly, a connection. Instead of relying solely on traditional media, they turned to social media. They posted behind-the-scenes videos, they joked around, they showed their real personalities. They didn't act untouchable. They acted human, and that changed everything. Through consistent uploads, honest messages, and relentless hard work, they slowly built a fandom. And that fandom would later be known as ARMY. At first, it wasn't millions. It was a few thousand, then hundreds of thousands, then millions. But growth didn't happen overnight. There were moments when they questioned themselves. Suga once revealed he worked part-time jobs during trainee days to survive. Jimin struggled with extreme dieting to fit beauty standards. RM carried the pressure of being leader while translating interviews and representing the group internationally. And let's not forget the turning point. In 2015, BTS released I Need You. That song marked a shift. It introduced a deeper storyline: youth, pain, loss, rebellion. It wasn't just music anymore. It was narrative. It was art. It was a universe. Fans weren't just listening, they were analyzing. The HYYH, the most beautiful moment in life, era wasn't just a comeback. It was the beginning of a movement. The themes of youth anxiety and fragile dreams resonated globally. Suddenly, international fans were discovering BTS not because of massive marketing, but because the message felt real. And then came Dope. High energy choreography, explosive charisma, undeniable stage presence. Reaction channels on YouTube began popping up worldwide. Who are these guys? People asked. And slowly, BTS started breaking barriers. In 2017, they attended the Billboard Music Awards in the United States. Most American viewers didn't even know who they were. They were introduced as winners of Top Social Artist. Some thought it was just a fan-voted fluke. But then they performed at the American Music Awards, and everything shifted. The performance of DNA wasn't just good. It was electric. Precision, confidence, star power. Suddenly, US media couldn't ignore them anymore. They appeared on The Ellen Show, The Late Late Show. Interviews piled up. Their English wasn't perfect, but their sincerity was undeniable. RM often translated for the group, carrying conversations with grace under pressure. And here's the key. They never abandoned their identity. They continued singing primarily in Korean. Let that sink in. In an industry where global success often requires English dominance, BTS proved that authenticity could transcend language. Their 2018 album, Love Yourself Tear, debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200. A Korean language album, number 1, history. But beyond charts, what truly separated BTS was their message: love yourself. It wasn't just branding, it was philosophy, it was mental health advocacy, it was self acceptance. Their speech at the United Nations in partnership with UNICEF shocked the world. RM stood there and said, "Speak yourself." Think about that. A boy group from a small company addressing world leaders. How did we get here? It wasn't magic, it was strategy, consistency, and fan power. Army organized streaming projects. They bought albums in bulk. They trended hashtags globally. They defended the group during controversies. They translated content instantly into dozens of languages. This wasn't just fandom, it was digital mobilization at a historic scale. When Boy With Love featuring Halsey dropped, YouTube views exploded. Records shattered within 24 hours. It became clear that BTS wasn't just participating in the global industry, they were leading it. Then came stadium tours. Wembley Stadium in London, sold out. MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, sold out. Rose Bowl in Los Angeles, sold out. Imagine that image, tens of thousands of light sticks glowing purple in unison, from handing out flyers to commanding stadiums. That transformation still feels unreal. And then 2020 arrived. The world shut down, tours canceled, uncertainty everywhere. But BTS adapted again. They released Dynamite, their first fully English single, bright, retro, hopeful. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, the first Korean act to do so. Let's pause and appreciate that milestone. For decades, Western markets were considered nearly impossible for non-English acts. BTS didn't just enter, they dominated. Dynamite was followed by Butter and Permission to Dance, each release breaking records, each performance polished to perfection. Yet behind the glamour, the members were honest about exhaustion. Fame at that level comes with pressure, constant scrutiny, nonstop schedules, mental and physical strain. They spoke openly about burnout. They admitted feeling lost at times. That honesty made fans love them even more. And then in 2022, they announced something that shook ARMY worldwide: a temporary pause in group activities to focus on solo projects and fulfill mandatory military service in South Korea. Cue the headlines. Is BTS disbanding? Is this the end? But it wasn't an end. It was evolution. Each member began carving individual paths. RM released introspective solo music, Suga toured globally, J-Hope headlined Lollapalooza, Jimin topped charts, Jungkook achieved massive solo success, V explored jazz and artistry, Jin enlisted first, showing quiet strength. Instead of weakening the brand, their solo era expanded it. They proved they weren't just a group, they were 7 powerful artists. And now, as military service nears completion, the anticipation is explosive. The idea of all 7 reuniting again has the industry watching closely. So what truly made BTS global kings? Was it talent? Yes. Hard work? Absolutely. But more than anything, it was connection. They never positioned themselves above their fans. They grew with them. From teenage angst to adult reflection, from small stages to global platforms, they showed vulnerability in an industry that often demands perfection. They turned personal diaries into chart-topping albums. They turned criticism into motivation. They turned doubt into dominance. And here's something powerful. They changed how the Western industry views Asian artists. Doors opened wider. Global collaborations increased. Korean music became mainstream conversation. Their influence goes beyond music. Fashion brands chase them. Governments appoint them as cultural ambassadors. Academic courses analyze their impact. That's cultural power. But let me ask you something directly. Do you remember the first BTS song you ever heard? Was it Dope? Blood, Sweat, and Tears? Fake Love? Dynamite? Drop it in the comments. Because every fan has a starting point, a moment, a gateway. For some, BTS was comfort during depression. For others, motivation during exams. For many, a bridge into Korean culture. That emotional impact is why their rise isn't just a business success story. It's a human story. From cramped dorm rooms to presidential invitations, from industry underdogs to Grammy nominees, from ignored rookies to global leaders. BTS didn't just climb the mountain, they changed the shape of it. And the most powerful part? They did it together. 7 different personalities, 7 distinct colors, 1 unified force. In an industry notorious for contracts and competition, their brotherhood remained central. You could see it in interviews, on stage, in behind the scenes footage, the way they laughed, the way they supported each other during speeches, the way they cried openly. Authenticity can't be manufactured for 10 plus years. It has to be real. And that's why the world believed them. Even critics who once dismissed them had to acknowledge the numbers, the cultural impact, the consistency. But perhaps the greatest victory isn't awards or sales, it's legacy.